Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, before we start, I just want to acknowledge something. I don't like the color pink. Never have. I try not to let my personal preferences or lack thereof affect my review of inks, but sometimes it, excuse the pun, bleeds through. So, yeah, today's ink is one of those notorious Noodler's inks. Qin Shi Huang, or Qin Shi Huang. I'm still not entirely sure on how to pronounce that. I asked a friend of mine who studied Chinese, and that's as close as I can approximate to it. It's a very bright, vibrant pink. It's one of those specialty inks that Nathan Tardif of Noodlers has a whole special video about his development of it. It's notorious in the fountain pen community. It's up there in reputation with Bay State Blue as being problematic, and we're going to see that. But all the tests were done in this Platinum Preppy with a fine nib, but I also, this was one of my first experiments with grinding nibs. I turned it into a little bit of a stub, so there's that. Just thought I'd compare it to some inks, but as you can probably tell, I don't have anything even remotely like this. So here's Qin Shi Huang, and there's Dragon's Napalm, there's Diatramentus Dante Alighieri, and Diamine Coral. It is such a bright pink. But anyways, let's check out the chromatography. This is a weird chromatography. The closest thing I've ever seen to anything like this was North African Violet, where it, was whatever was in the ink, it was almost like it was really heavy and struggled to go upwards. So, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you something interesting about these chromatographies. So, yeah, it was just pink, pink, and more pink. So, check out the paper test. Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. 9 seconds to dry. As you can see, and I was really laying it on there, there's really not a lot of shading. This ink does not shade. Yeah, and I'm going to try and get in close. I don't know if the camera's going to like me today, but yeah, there's feathering. There's feathering all throughout it. It's small feathering, small little feathers, but it is literally over every millimeter of the writing. It is everywhere. And yeah, there's no bleed here. Not really. You can see where it almost wants to poke through in a few places. No genuine spread except for the feathers. The color is very bold. Very, very bright pink. Not a light pink, but a bright pink. And the water test is pretty impressive. Yeah, it's very clear, very dark. It changed very little. It did dye the paper just a bit, but yeah. Serious water resistance. Next is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter, where again, you really don't see much shading. 5 seconds to dry. Still a lot of feathering. You still get those lots and lots of tiny feathers over every little millimeter of the writing. It's still a very vibrant color. But yeah, already you can tell the ink is problematic because this is a very small nib already, and then I stubbed it, and still it's reacting like this on some of the best fountain pen papers. So again, water test very clear, very there, didn't change much at all. It dyed the paper a tiny bit, but I said there's near bleed through in spots, but I think I could actually call that actual bleed through. Okay, that's scrubby, but even still here in the writing you can see where, even if we don't want to say that fully came through, it got darn close. So And next is Tomoe River Paper, where it never dries. It just like never dries. I'm not kidding. I set this aside, and when I went through all the tests, like finished writing all of them, it was still smearing. For some reason, this ink just would not dry on this paper. Yeah, I mean, it's still very bright. There's still not really any shading. Yeah, I said it was hard to like hold the paper and write, especially when I got towards the bottom because I couldn't touch it up here because everything was still wet. So, but yeah, fairly impressive water test considering this is Tomoe River. Camera, get it together. Still very clear, still very dark. It dyed the page a bit more than some of the previous tests, but yeah, no bleed through, but the echo is pretty significant. Camera. Anyway, so next is 20-pound copier paper, which, I mean, for such a small nib, for it to do this badly, really doesn't give me much hope. Again, you have the feathering, and this time there was spread. And so I said, bleed, duh, feathering, duh, spread, that's new. The color still remains very, very bright, but I just... So, water test. Here it did get a bit lighter, but it's still very clear, very dark, didn't explode, didn't feather. Dyed the page a little bit, but... Again, I mean, there's like 100 little dots all over the place. And again, like I said, this is a very small nib already, so. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where it dried almost instantly. And once again, there's feathering, there's spread, there's bleed, there's no shading. Yeah, I mean, it's a bright color, but that's pretty much all I can say about this as far as, you know, checks in the pro column, because it's so problematic. Water test, okay, yeah, that's good. That's another check in the pro column. But, yeah, I mean, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. You know, this is already a really small nib, so. And here's the latest Moleskine notebook paper that I hate because it behaves well. Yes, I'm aware that sounds irrational, but I hate it for behaving well because most Moleskine paper will not act like this. Because here you see there's no bleed. There's some extreme echo in some points, but no real bleed, which I know is not the case. Like 8, if not 9 times out of 10 with this paper. 2.5 seconds to dry. You still get a lot of feathers. Here, I think we might see some of the worst feathering we've seen yet. Still no shading. It's bright. And it's kind of water resisty. But that's about all I can say about this ink. So, yeah, there you go. There's Noodler's Qin Shi Huang. It's a bright pink. It's, my camera... it's not my camera. My camera's just being an ass. It's problematic. And I think there's a reason why it has a reputation, if my experience is anything to go by, because it's pain in the butt. In my experience, it's not worth it, and I would say that even if I did like pink, but I don't like pink. So, for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. Bye.